Hi there. I'm Diana Montford, the world's first transgender television journalist. Born male, became female. How many times have you heard me say that? Anyway, speaking of that, gay rights, LGBTQ rights, rights we all, those of us who are LGBTQ, enjoy and are grateful for. Well, someone somewhere had to invent LGBTQ rights, and we have one of the inventors of the gay rights movement on, the LGBTQ movement. His name is Mr. Nick Curto. He's going to tell us all about how the movement started, about his role in it. Now when you see him, you're going to think that can't be a man who was around in 1967. He looks remarkably youthful, but he really was around in 1967 and an adult. Even I wasn't an adult in 1967. He was an adult in a young adult he was. But he was a young adult in 1967. For real, I know this for a fact. And he's going to tell us all about, how the gay rights movement started and his part in it. And here we go, Mr. Nick Curto.
Diana, thank you so much for having me on your show again.
Thank you for coming on.
I love being on it, and it's a joy. Thank you.
Thank you. And you've been on before, discussing both the Urantia book and, I believe, Disclosure.
Yes.
Nick is also a UFOologist, a UFO expert, and he has two podcasts. One about, let me find it, one called Full Disclosure, I believe. Called the Disclosure Network, about, ETs, space aliens, and, and I and maybe he both think that they're here and they've been helping us forever, and
Absolutely.
This is not a surprise.
Absolutely.
And the Urantia book, which some of you may have heard of, which is basically an explanation of that and of other planetary systems. And it's wonderful, and you can get it via the Urantia, Urantia, Society of New York, of Greater New York, at www.urantiabook.org. And Nick will tell us all about that later. But right now, let's talk about LGBTQ rights. So, in 1969, people would have said, rights? What rights? These people don't deserve rights. They're perverts.
It was a different world, as you know, then.
With better clothes, but yes.
On so many levels, though, we didn't have the support. We felt so alone. Everybody seemed so isolated. No one was talking about things that really mattered.
Well, the well of loneliness.
There you go. And it was very difficult. And I was going to an art school, the Massachusetts College of Art and Design in Boston, and you would think that that would be swarming with gay and lesbian people, and perhaps there was, but it was kept under wraps.
May I mention your birthday?
Yes, of course.
You were born in 1943?
Yes. I'm a Leo, July 26th, yes.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah, are you?
No, my father was born July 27th.
Hello?
Get off the show. No, I'm kidding. Okay, yes. No, I loved my father. Anyway, you loved him too? I knew it. I knew he was gay. No.
I meant my father.
Oh, okay. Okay, so now tell us. Really, we had no rights. And anyone anywhere felt free to despise us and insult us in the streets and all sorts of things.
Absolutely, and even in art school, of course, it was a 4-year school and with a degree, and you have to concentrate on what's going on, being creative. I took the graphic design, advertising course, and it was a lot of work. And then in the summers, I worked. I taught art at a playground in Springfield, Massachusetts, where I'm from, and earned money. And also, I was in a factory stapling boxes to earn money to go to school.
Good for you.
So that happened, and then I graduated, and I just knew I had to come to New York City to find out more about who I was and to explore my talents with the advertising world. So I got on a bus with my portfolio and my plaid suitcase, I'll never forget that, got on a bus and arrived in Times Square and said, here I am. Here we go.
It's like one of those movies,
Yes.
Gotta dance. Yeah.
And it was quite an adventure. I had a book called $39 a Day to Be in New York City, which seemed my God, really? So I saw a hotel listed called Rosoff's. It was an iconic restaurant right in Times Square that a lot of people knew and loved, but people didn't realize there was a hotel on the top floor. So I called them up and said, is there any room? And he said, yes, there is a room. So that's
How
what
many
I took.
hours do you want? Yeah.
Sorry?
How many hours do you want?
Yeah, well.
Was it a rent by the hour place?
No, it wasn't. It was by the day or week, and I took a month. I took a month and went home to Springfield on the weekends, and then came back on a bus. And I did that back and forth until I could find a job. And then after that, looking for my first apartment.
Which you found?
Which I found. The job was in a major insurance company in Union Square, and it was good people, and I enjoyed. That was my first job.
Is it the one with that 1913 building?
It's on the north side of.
Want to mention the name or not?
GHI,
Okay.
Health Insurance, which is I believe still with us, and then I went looking for an apartment. And again, I was really learning what was Manhattan like, where were the neighborhoods, and I didn't know any of that. And so it was exploring and learning, and I came across a brand new building that was just being finished, and I thought, someday I'll live in a building like that. And I was with a friend of mine who was graduated with me, and she came along with me, and I was looking for an apartment for her, and she was also with me looking for an apartment.
Right.
And she said, Nick, wouldn't hurt to take a look, even though it probably is way out of your league financially.
Why not? Yeah.
So I said, okay. So we went in, and I said, are there any apartments left? And he said, there is a couple left, and he showed me one, loved it, and I said, how much was it? And he said, well, we're not quite finished with the lobby yet, so we can give you, here it comes, 2 months free. Diana, 2 months free.
In a high rise.
Oh my God, but you have to have 2 months first and back rent.
Sure, yeah.
So I could do that. I could just put that together. I got it.
Are you still living there now?
Yes, it's been through many design changes for sure.
Well, now, isn't it used in a famous television show?
Thank you. I was watching a wonderful series on TV, The Jeffersons, that everybody loved.
We're moving on up.
Moving on up, a black family that decided to make their home on the Upper East Side, and they live in the clouds, as they said. And I was looking at that program in my living room, and I said, wait a second, they're showing my building. They're panning up that's my building. It was so crazy to see that on TV, and it was the Jeffersons building. And sometimes if I go in a taxi and I tell them the address on East 85th, they'll say, oh, that's the Jeffersons building. So
But they know that.
They do that. They know that.
Great?
So it was kind of a fun thing to have that. And everything was brand new, so it literally was a new apartment, my first apartment.
And apparently only one.
Yeah.
Since you've lived there now for 53, 52 years?
Very good. And the neighborhood has changed. When I was there were more German restaurants and nightclubs.
Well, it's Yorkville. I live in Yorkville myself.
Oh, okay, then you know.
88th.
Oh, then you're right in the heart of it.
Yeah.
And there were wonderful places to go. Now there's not that many more. There's some still great places, but not as many. And high rises.
I think that's good. The diversity has come to all neighborhoods. And it's no longer like, okay, here's this ghetto, here's that ghetto, here's that ghetto. Now it's like, everybody's together, and I think that's very good.
Yeah, and as you know, they really upgraded the streets and the buses and all that.
Well, all over New York.
And East 86th Street is quite something. Anyhow, so it was a perfect place to live. And why move when you love the neighborhood? So I've been there ever since.
Yeah, and so have I. But not since 1960s. I grew up. I lived from 1962 to 1965 at 200 East 74th Street, which was a show business building.
Oh.
My mother was a writer for 20th Century Fox, and they didn't like us on the Upper East Side. People on the Upper East Side did not like showbiz folk. So we were very much ghettoized in a high rise.
Isn't that crazy when you think of it, though? That's amazing. Who knows?
Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet lived in my building.
Okay.
Yes. When she made that famous recording, Blame It on the Bossa Nova, she lived in my building.
They were a wonderful couple, wonderful performers.
Now
I remember
they're dead.
them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was a loss.
Yeah, well. But anyway, okay, enough real estate chatter. So, oddly enough, they didn't mind gay people because there were discernibly gay people at that building, but they very much minded on the Upper East Side us gypsies, tramps, and thieves, a.k.a. showbiz folk. So there you go. But now, you told your parents you were gay.
Right. After living in New York, and I was able to feel freedom, I was able to kind of gauge who I really was, and I had no problem really understanding that I was a very happy, well-balanced gay man. I didn't think it was strange or silly or anything. I thought that's who I am, and I'm proud of that. And that was in 66.
Or at least not ashamed.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No, but I mean, there's a huge difference between pride and shame.
Oh, okay. And there wasn't that at all. It was, fine, let's get on with the party. That's how I felt. And so, but I couldn't help notice in those years how the mainstream press was hammering at the gay community.
Yeah, it was awful.
We didn't deserve rights.
We didn't deserve anything. We should die as far as they were.
Some of them felt that for sure.
Well, if you looked up gay in medical books, it said, these people will often commit suicide. No, they won't. They will if you tell us.
It's a disease, according to the psycho. It was just crazy. And when you knew the people and you were part of that community, you knew that it was wrong. All that they were saying was crazy and really wrong.
Well, according to them, Socrates drank the hemlock because he was gay, not because he,
Here we go.
Yeah.
So what happened was that
guy.
I thought, I'm a designer and I write and I'm creative, and I was looking at some of the national organizations, and one in New York City was the Gay Task Force. And at the time they were in New York, they've since moved to Washington, D.C.
Even
but
better.
It was at that time, and I was looking at the materials, and everything was so poorly written and badly designed. And it seemed like for a national organization, they should look better than that. So I got my portfolio, and I took the subway to where they were, and I knocked on the door, and I believe one of the staff people named Robert answered.
Well, that narrows it down, okay.
And I said, hi, I'm Nick Curto. I'm a designer, writer, and I've seen your material, and I think that you need some real help on this, and I'm willing to volunteer.
That's great.
There was one moment of silence, and he went, would you come in, please? It was almost like, really? Okay. And I showed him my portfolio, and he showed me his materials.
Why don't you show us the award you designed?
Oh, sure. That was from a little later on, and that was for the Fresh Fruit Festival, the All Out Arts Fresh Fruit Festival. And that is, I named it, it's called the Fruity Award. And that is given out in the spring to the people who performed or wrote, directed, acted, designed in major productions for the Fresh Fruit Festival. That's a 2-week festival currently in the summer in the East Village.
And we will be doing a show about that in the future. And you'll find all about it.
Fantastic. It's an amazing organization, and the people, the staff people there are the very, very best. So anyhow, I'm very proud of that. I was the president, founding president for 10 years, and I've been on the board for 6.
Of the?
There would be the Fresh Fruit Festival All Out Arts. All Out Arts is a 501c3 not-for-profit. And the Wild Project, which is a theater on East 3rd Street, is where they have the current festival, 2-week festival, amazing productions.
Wonderful.
And it gives a lot of hope and support to all the upcoming amazing gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender questioning artists who now can express their work and show it to an audience.
And we will be doing, as I've said, a show about that organization with Nick sometime within the coming year. But right now you told your parents you were gay and they had no problem with it.
Right, and that was something I wanted to do, and I thought about it. And
your mother was Irish American, your father was Italian.
Italian, right, and they were both from New England, which can be conservative.
Absolutely.
And so I decided, you know what, it's time. It's just time. I wanted to not be able to lie or say something that wasn't true. I wanted to keep that direct, truthful atmosphere always with them. There was no reason to do that. So I went back home and I said, guys, I'd like you to come in the living room. There's something I'd like to discuss with you. And I did. They sat down. They said, so what's going on, Nick?
They probably thought he's met a girl. He's getting married. I know it.
And I said, there's something I've been wanting to tell you very much, and that is that I am gay. I know that. I'm happy. I'm well balanced. I feel as normal as anybody else. I have some incredible friends, which I'd like you to meet, and that's the story. And there was this 1 second that you wonder how that's going to be greeted, that kind of news. And they said, we've loved you, we love you now, we will always love you, we give you our full support. And they looked at me and gave me this incredible reassurance.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great?
What a gift.
Yeah.
Diana, what a gift that is for parents to be able to be supportive of their children.
Well, mine were too. So.
I'm glad.
Yeah. So that's why I'm the freak you see before you. Because my parents said, fine, go be a freak. Yes. They were showbiz. What do you want? Okay, so, see, this is why they wouldn't let us into the upper side, because we were too weird. Okay.
I have a coming out story I could tell you.
I would love to hear it.
This is kind of fun, that when that was happening and I was realizing that I was gay and I was going to be part of the community, I decided I would go to my first gay bar. And I've heard of a bar that was in the village, and the name of it was the Stonewall.
I've never
Inn.
heard of it.
No, isn't that funny?
The Stonewall, like Stonewall Jackson?
Now, I later found out there were a number of gay bars on the Upper East Side, but I didn't know them. So I decided to take the subway and muster my strength and courage and, okay, here it comes, and go into this bar. I knew nobody in New York, just about.
And you were instantly gang raped and sold into sexual slavery in Morocco.
How did you know?
I guessed.
How did you know?
I'm psychic, or maybe psycho.
You are. You definitely are.
No, but you were saying.
So I took a deep breath.
But you must have thought that might happen.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I just knew that it was time. It was just time. And I heard the music outdoors from that little park outside. I said, okay, here we go. So I went in. And I walked in there. I went past there was a guard at the door who looked very muffy.
He's still there. It's the same one.
Oh, I would be a bit surprised.
Yeah.
And I went in, I heard the music, and I heard the laughter, and people were having such a good time and dancing. And then somebody screams, "Oh my God, it's Nick!" Like, what? Somebody knew me?
Dad, what are you doing here?
Oh, Diana, that's great. No, what happened was that somebody from Boston, who I never realized was gay at all, never thought about it, but he happened to be in New York and went to that bar, and as I came in that bar, arrived there he was, he saw me, and he just screams out that.
Isn't that nice?
And that was my amazing welcome to the gay bar scene.
Well, now, you've had the same partner for a long time, haven't you?
Actually, I have had a few. We all went through a terrible AIDS crisis, and I actually have lost 3 over many years of partners, lovers, because of AIDS. It was there was a time when it felt like we were being bombed, because I hated to answer the phone because I was hearing, blah, blah, blah is in the hospital, Nick, did you know?
Oh, God.
It was like that. So it was a rough time also in the 70s.
Well, 80s.
And 80s, oh yeah.
Because it didn't come.
That's right, it did. But when it did, it hit hard. And these are some of the most marvelous, talented.
Oh, yeah. Certainly in fashion,
As you know. And
I mean, in every field, but I mean, I'm familiar with the fashion people.
Okay.
And, you know.
And that to this day, our country in the world has lost some amazing people that I think the world would have been better had they lived.
Absolutely.
Because they were gifts they had, and it was a really tough time.
Yeah. But, well, now you're happily partnered.
I am.
That's very nice. And is there anything you'd like to tell us about the world of say, the late 60s, the LGBTQ world of that time?
Well, again, we were kind of finding our own self. We were finding who we were and trying to get a hold of our rights. And if people had children, also the rights of children who were from a gay marriage.
Well, as you know, often when the straight partner found out that the other person was gay, it was like, you pervert, don't come near the children. You know, that kind of
there was all that going on. There was a lot of misunderstanding, and unfortunately that was a time when a lot of people suffered.
Yeah.
And there were some amazing people in New York that I happened to not know, met, and were introduced to, and that really changed a lot because it enabled me then to take my talents of a designer and writer and use them for the gay movement. And I said, sign me up. What do we need to do? And I met somebody who had seen my my design work from the National Gay Task Force, the National Task Force, and his name was Tom Smith.
Whom I know very well because I've known him for many years. He was the president of the Stonewall Democrats.
Right, and he truly is a visionary.
And you will be seeing him on this show in the coming year as well.
That's
Tom
exciting,
Smith.
Diane. I'm so glad you're doing that because
Yes.
Tom deserves so much thanks and credit for all
Well, he's
the
already
things.
been on to discuss the housing situation for seniors,
Yes,
LGBTQ seniors.
that's one of the current.
And Paul Nagel with him.
Paul's amazing.
Yeah.
Paul's an amazing guy too.
We've also had him on many a time.
So what happened was that Tom said, Nick, we need to talk. We became immediate friends, and he said, there's something I want to talk to you about, and I think I'd like to call it the Wall Street Project. And I said, well, what is that? And he said, we need to know what the corporations and companies do or do not do for their gay and lesbian, bisexual, transgender employees.
Well, what do they do?
Well,
Not Shella, because we only have a
nobody
few
knew,
minutes.
and we called the different national groups and said, would you give us a little funding so we could find that answer? And they all said it's important, but we can't do it now.
Well, can you bottom line it for me? What is the Wall Street Project, and what do they do today?
Right. So what we did was we ended up getting together in my apartment and sent letters to the Fortune 500 and said, could you tell us what your company is doing currently for those employees that are gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender? And they responded back and they said, we'd like to ask you, your committee, what you feel is we should be doing, which was a great question.
Yes,
great.
and wonderful.
So we went back to the drawing boards and came up with 8 principles of equality. Equality, not special rights, but equal rights.
Did they adopt those principles?
A lot of them did. And we had a lot of surprises, like Kodak, an old company, was really good on these issues. And they were one of the worst ones was Old Cracker Barrel Country
Yes, I
restaurants.
remember that situation. Alan Hevesy, a politician here in New York,
Yes.
sued, yes.
Ellen was amazing.
Yes, he's a wonderful man. He later ran into some trouble, but Alan Hevesy, to my way of thinking, was a wonderful man, and he is.
Tremendous support. In fact,
Yes.
Ellen gave us a lawyer from City Hall that helped us with the phrasing of what we were doing. And then we re-mailed the Fortune 500 and said, these are the principles of equality.
By the way, what I'm reading and what Nick is reading is a bio that Nick presented me with, his own bio, so that I would know what points to hit. Okay, now,
And we started getting feedback. We started getting the answers to our questions, and we made a database.
and well, that's very good, because as soon as they see that we have money to spend, that we are, a block of people, not lost souls cowering in the shadows, then they respect us.
Absolutely.
Money talks. Everything else they don't care. Rights, forget. But money, now we have our rights.
And from the database, if you wanted to find a job in corporate America, you can go to a database and say, well, these are the good companies for my lifestyle, and these are the companies to stay away from because they don't want us there.
When I was very young, I thought of becoming a lawyer, because I come from a long line of lawyers, and they had a question, are you a person of good character? And in those days, I was born in 1956. In those days, being gay was considered not of good character. And
Think of that.
yeah,
Wow. Oh,
yeah.
boy.
So I never became a lawyer. I became a me instead. Anyway, so what would you say to young people out there who maybe have no clue as to how difficult it was just 50 years ago, 50-something years ago,
I think they need to look at the history of our community. They need to understand that. They need to take a look at the people who were there in the early days to really make this work.
Yes.
And there was a lot of heartache and fighting. There was a tremendous amount of people who gave everything they had to the
Yes.
cause. And a lot of these people didn't have a lot of money, but they scraped their
Sylvia
ways
Rivera
together.
and Marsha P. Johnson lived in the streets and they gave their souls to this
There you go.
movement.
That's a good example of that. And these people really brought on what we now can enjoy as rights for both marrying as well as when you're in a job, or the rights you have,
Yes.
and how companies are more supportive than ever before.
That's not national yet, but
No.
it will be right now in New York State. We have full rights, I believe. Just so you know, in 1969, the year of the Stonewall Rebellion, to say gay rights would have been like saying today child molester rights, or serial killer rights, or rapist rights. Gay people were considered the most perverted, pernicious human beings on the face of the earth, and they were considered unpleasantly willful, because why can't these people just behave themselves?
Right.
Why do they have to have sex with other men? What's wrong with them? And other women? Why can't the girls let their hair grow and the men cut their hair? What's wrong with these people? That's how people thought in 1969.
And so the other thing, Diana, to answer your question, is to be yourself, to be your total, authentic self.
I should probably stop being so much myself, but yes. Okay.
But that is such good advice. Don't live for other people. Don't live for what they're telling you should be. Live for what resonates to you as a human being.
You can't please all the people all the time, so please yourself.
Yep.
How can people listen to your wonderful podcasts?
Well, thank you for that. I have two podcasts. One is Nick Curto presents the Rancho book, an amazing spiritual book that I came across more than 35 years ago.
Which I also admire, yes.
And thank you, and it really is gives you a perspective of yourself.
We have 30 seconds.
As well as the universe.
How do they get your podcast?
They can go to my Facebook page, Nick Curto, and it will be all there, all of that.
Nick Curto, C-U-R-T-O.
That's right.
Okay, my guest has been certainly one of the founders of the gay rights movement, Mr. Nick Curto, of the LGBTQ movement. Let's include everyone, including me. And he has done wonderful work and continues to do wonderful work, and hopefully will do wonderful work for many years to come. He is one of the strong ones, one of the strong people of this earth. And that's really good. Anyway, my name is Diana Montford. This has been the Diana Montford Show. As you know, my guest has been Nick Curto. And, do be yourself. As Nick said, why not? What do you have to lose? They'll hate you if you're phony. They'll hate you if you're real. Be real, Anyway, or they'll love you, whatever. I love you. Even if no one else loves you, I love you. See you next time. Bye.